Well, there you are. A little saltwater crocodile with 40 to 60 hatchlings in this nest. Your egg is also buried in the ground. So, you make a squeaking noise which will indicate to your mum that you demand to see the sun, with your siblings joining in chorus until your mum catches on and digs you guys up. So, see your home for the next while, as saltwaters are found over much of Southeast Asia, the islands of Indonesia and northern Australia. And generally speaking, they are found in swamps or on the banks of rivers. So, now you know where you're based out of, your mum opens up her mouth. But don't worry, it's not to eat you and your siblings. No. Instead, it's for you to get inside of, like a bus, carry you guys down to the river, with her being able to carry 15 hatchlings in her mouth at one go. This is also helped by the fact that right now you weigh 70 grams. Once in the river, the female will turn around and go back to the nest to get the rest of the hatchling, making the trip until the nest is empty. At which point, you all will stay with your mum. At which point, you will stay with your mum for the next couple of months. But there is a reason why there's so many of you. So, if 2 of you make it to adulthood, to be frank, that's a bit of a miracle, because literally everything in your environment at the moment wants a piece of you. From birds to other crocs to small predators, from small to big mammals, all of whom have a vested interest in keeping the crocodile population down, and maybe even your own siblings, because you all absolutely despise one another. And even for crocodiles, you guys seem to particularly hate each other. Pretty much whenever you get the opportunity. You will spend 8 months with your mum, growing and figuring out the basics of crocodiling. So, swimming, holding your breath and catching basic prey items, but also what to avoid right now in your environment. Once saltwaters leave their mum, it's up to them to sort themselves out. So, they'll spend the next 2 years bulking up and moving from territory to territory. And if you're wondering, at this point, their diet will mainly consist of insects, fish and crustaceans. In the world of the saltwater crocodiles, name is the main game. Because the bigger you are, the more access you will have to females later on in life. And it also means the more likely you are to be left alone by other crocodiles as well as predators. And in the whole crocodilian family, there's nothing else that does it quite like a saltwater, with these guys being the largest crocodile species in the world. And to be frank, there's a reason why you guys have changed very little over the millions of years the crocodiles have been on this planet. With saltwaters having a long and powerful tail for propulsion through the water, a strong wall of osteoderms which act as protection from animals. And also, in case you're unaware, osteoderms are these things on the crocodile's back, forming basically a shield wall. And it's also the type of thing that would have protected many dinosaurs, such as the Ankylosaurus. And then, moving down the crocodile, we get to the business end, the head. The saltwater's eyes are on the top of the head, which allow them to stay submerged under the water while still hunting their prey and keeping an eye out. Both eyes are facing forward, the sign of a predator, and they also have a third eyelid which allows them to see underwater without damaging their eyes from debris. So basically, they've got inbuilt goggles. They also have ears, with covers that will go over them to protect them when they submerge into water. But here's a challenge for you. Can you find it? I'll give you 5 seconds. Did you find it? No? That's fair enough. They're barely noticeable, but they're found here. Though to be frank, it's not one of their main ways of navigating their environment. You also have this highly potent mouth. Now, saltwater crocodiles produce the most powerful bite in the animal kingdom, coming in at 16,440 newtons, which, to help you visualize, 1 apple drops on your head is 1 newton. So, with a saltwater crocodile's bite force being 16,414, that's that equivalent number of apples dropped on your head, with this bite force being able to crush the bones in your hands. And it's helped by these sharp teeth, numbering 36 on the top jaw and 30 on the lower. These teeth are designed to be replaced, so if they're broken or worn down, they will simply pop out and a new one will come in. So, even if they're 20 or 60, these teeth will always be sharp. As our young crocodiles develop and grow, increasing in both their size and weight, they should, by the age of 2, start to establish their own territories. However, typically they probably won't at this point, because in the words of Space Jesus,
there's always a bigger fish.
And when your competition is this size, I don't think it's a very good idea establishing your territory just yet. What you'll also see is the older they get, the larger their food becomes. And once they reach a certain size, it will be literally anything that enters the water. Like I'm talking all the way from chickens right up to the water buffalo and even tigers. That raises the question, how do they do it? Well, they hunt at night using their highly proficient night vision help them identify prey, waiting by the water's edge often for hours. Once the prey approaches, they will wait and wait and wait as the prey draws closer, and then boom, they will pounce on them using their jaws to drag the prey into the water, and then they will start to eat, often utilising what is called the death roll to tear the prey into edible chunks. Why called the death roll? Because once it starts, it's very hard to escape out of, nearly impossible, and usually to get out you're going to have to sacrifice something, whether it be an arm or a leg. Saltwater crocodiles have also been known to launch nearly their whole body out of the water in order to get at prey on low-hanging branches, often eating prey whole because their teeth are designed to grip prey, not slice, hence why they have to do the death roll on larger animals. What they don't eat, they leave for other animals in the ecosystem to have a crack at. So, coming back to our saltwater crocodile, it's been doing this whole time. They're now adult and sexually mature, so they're now able to breed. This will happen once they reach the age of 16 if they're a chap and 13 if they're a female. Males are significantly larger than females, with most males coming in at 11 feet, while females are typically just 7 feet. Although, this is just the average, and they can get much bigger. Saltwaters mate during the wet season, as there is a large amount of water and flooded land, which allows them more space to breed. Courtship will start around from August through to September. Although, if there are too many saltwater crocodiles in the area, they have been known to head out into the open water to find prospective lands. And by open water, I mean literally open water, like going out into the Indian Ocean. Which is part of the reason how they were able to spread across much of Southeast Asia and also went as far west as the Seychelles Islands, although they are now extinct in this region. Saltwater crocodiles are polygamous, meaning the male will mate with multiple females over the breeding season. If successful, the female will lay eggs sometime between November through to March, in the nests they've made, usually near a body of water just along the bank. These nests will typically take the form of a mound, being a mixture of mud and vegetation. This is done to protect the eggs from the elements. Although saltwater crocodiles have been seen using other materials such as rocks and also grass. Whilst both parents will guard the territory, it's the mother's job to specifically focus on the nest, because as I mentioned earlier, there is literally nothing in the ecosystem pass out at the opportunity to knock off a few more saltwater crocodiles. But this nest structure will act very much like an oven, with reportedly the heat inside these nests sometimes reaching 35 degrees Celsius. And this actually has effect on the gender of the eggs inside, as the temperature for a male saltwater crocodile needs to be somewhere between 30 to 20 degrees, while females need to be 28 to 30. And that's actually one of the big problems with climate change for the saltwater crocodile. As global temperatures rise, the ratio of males to females is being thrown out of balance. What you also might find interesting is that sometimes saltwater crocodiles engage in gay activities. And look people, I believe
people are entitled to their sexual proclivities, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned, but I ain't spending any time on it because in the meantime, every 3 months, a person was torn to pieces by a crocodile in North Queensland.
That's just in Australia. It's thought that around 1,000 people lose their lives as a result of saltwater crocodiles, with most happening in Southeast Asia, with few occurring in Australia. And of these attacks, 50% are fatal. But, for what it's worth, we used to give them as good as they got, because back in the early 20th century, we nearly hunted them to the brink of extinction in certain areas for their leather, and also for their meat. And for a time, this was a professional career. However, it has become increasingly harder to hunt saltwater crocodiles as a result of greater protections put in on the species. Although, this doesn't stop some people in various South Asian countries, in response to a crocodile killing a person, going out and enacting some vengeance on the local crocodile population. And for what it's worth, when you see the size of some of these crocodiles, I wouldn't say I blame them, with a large female reaching a length of 14 feet. The largest confirmed male crocodile being called Lolong from the Philippines, and they came in at 20 feet in length. Although there was a skull found in Cambodia, which could have belonged to a crocodile which could have been 22 to 23 feet long. Now, you might wonder, how long do these guys live? Well, it depends, but if they make it to adulthood, they'll probably live for around 70 years. Although, in captivity, there have been those who can live for 100 years, which some wild individuals could be able to reach, unless, of course, they come into contact with a crocodile wrestler. Which leads us on to an interesting point about crocodiles and humans, as the legend goes that during the Battle of Roundtree Island as part of the Second World War and the larger Burma campaign, a significant proportion of the Japanese garrison there was killed by saltwater crocodiles. And this is a legend that has persisted for many years. However, it's probably rubbish, simply due to the fact that during the battle there was a significant amount of confusion. Now, am I discounting the possibility that some soldiers were killed by crocodiles? Absolutely not. But do I think it was on the scale that some people suggest? No. But what that does mean is that theoretically, there are still some individuals on that island that do have a taste for humans and can remember the Second World War. Although again, this is probably fairly unlikely. They'll look into the future with the increased risk of droughts and less available food as a result, and also a decrease in the male to female ratio. There are definitely challenges facing the saltwater crocodile population. But what's obvious is that saltwater crocodiles are nearly the perfect predator, and there's a reason they've been able to survive into the modern era from the time of the dinosaurs. They're fueled by pure spite and anger in the face of evolution and the passage of time. And now, because of conservation efforts, their population is in the category of least concerned, which is a significant improvement from where they were in the 80s in the endangered category, proving that with the correct education and environmental management, there is a way that even this ancient predator is able to survive alongside us into the modern world. And this is something that we will have to continue to work on and improve so that we can ensure that we get that 1,000 per year death ratio as low as physically possible. But if you're interested in crocodilians, you should check out this video on the longer cousin of the saltwater crocodile, the gharial. And do me a solid, leave a crocodile emoji in the comments so I know you got this far into the video. If you wouldn't mind pressing that like and subscribe button, it would be really appreciated. And remember, don't dangle a baby in front of a crocodile, eat some fruit, and I'll see you in the next one.